Good evening, everybody. So before we actually talk about the subject, let's just take a moment and come back to our motivation, why we're together, why we're going to explore the Dharma together, and generate a motivation of compassion for ourselves, for all living beings, and a motivation to do whatever we can to make a positive contribution to their welfare. And in order to do that, we have to work on ourselves. We have to generate stronger compassion, clearer wisdom, more skill. So let's have a motivation to do that. All the time looking at the long-term goal of aiming for full awakening, where we'll have all the qualities we'll need to be of the greatest benefit, to really contribute wisely and kindly to the welfare of the world. So let's make that our motivation for sharing the evening together. And then tonight we're gonna, the label was why do we lie? And that's the question I wanted to ask you. It's not the question that I'm gonna answer for you. Yeah, because we all have to look inside and see what's going on, why we explain the truth in a different variation, okay? So first of all, let me just kind of give a general idea about what I mean by lying. So it's usually an action of speech, although, you know, we include email in speech, even though it's a physical action, so we have to be careful what we write in our email. But lying is saying the opposite of what we know to be true. So if something is, we say it isn't. If it isn't, we say it is. If someone has something, we say they don't. If they don't have it, we say they do. Okay, so changing, you know, what is true, and with a motivation of personal gain. Okay, so the motivation is very much involved with protecting ourselves or selling ourselves or something like that. So, and I'm saying this because people always come up and say, well, what about if the hunter comes and they're chasing, you know, you saw a deer run by and they say, where did the deer go? Do you tell the truth? People love asking me that question. And I don't think we have to deal, that's not the strongest issue that we have to look at in terms of our lying. You know, if somebody does something like that, of course we want to protect the deer. Of course we want to protect the hunter from creating negative karma. So we change the subject, we do something else, we distract the person. You know, of course we're not going to say, well, the deer is right over there. Yeah. So here we're really looking at acts of lying that we're doing for our own personal benefit, okay? And so usually what's happening with lying is we did something that we don't want other people to know, yeah? Something we don't feel good about doing, something that wasn't so kind or wasn't so ethical. And we don't want other people to know, because if they know, they will not respect us, they will be angry at us, we may lose our job, we may not get what we want. In other words, something bad will happen to us. And so we cover it up. That's one case of when we lie. Another one is And this is the one I find so interesting, the one that people call little white lies, you know, the small lies. And I remember growing up, and when I was growing up and seeing people all the time do this, and also as adults, all the time, telling just these little things. And when I ask people, you know, why they did that, they usually say, well, so I don't hurt the other person's feelings. But to me personally, actually, if somebody does that for me, I feel rather offended. Like, you think I'm so sensitive that I can't handle the truth? You know, come on, respect me. I can handle the truth. In fact, I can handle the truth much better than I can handle these little white lies. Yeah. Not to mention the big fat lies either. Because I know for me, if somebody lies to me, it really interferes with me trusting that person. Yeah. In a very, very big way, it interferes with future trust, because to me, just the speaking the truth is so essential. It's the basis for human beings getting along and developing trust. And if we can't trust each other enough to tell the truth, then, you know, something is wrong. And also, if we feel like we have to lie to cover up what's true, then I think we need to ask ourselves, well, what in the world am I doing that I don't want other people to know about it? Yeah? So if you look, I mean, we've had two great presidential examples of this in my lifetime. You know, we had Richard Nixon and then we had Clinton, yeah? Both of them did something that was quite unethical. And then on top of that, they lied. So people in the country got so upset. I mean, there was the initial thing they did, but what made people more upset was the fact that they lied. If they had at the very beginning just owned up what they did, okay, it's not so good, but they owned it, finished, okay? But the lying, when you look at what it did to the country, how it just fractured relationships and people and made people lose trust in government, big time, yeah? So if we don't like when politicians lie, then we also have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves why we lie. You know, otherwise we're kind of operating from a double standard of, you know, it's okay when I do it, my lies are, I'm lying out of compassion for the other person, you know. But when politicians lie, they're just disgusting, you know. That's a little bit of a double standard there, don't you think? So, you know, I think we need to look at how we cover things up with other people, and then also how we lie to ourselves too, which is a whole other topic, which I'm just thinking I will do another session on that, you know, in the future. Okay, how we lie to ourselves. Let's just stick tonight with how we lie to others. Okay, I think we have enough to cover, huh? Okay, so let's do a little meditation on this right now. So begin just watching your breath, coming home to your breath, letting your body and your mind relax. And then begin by thinking of a time when you lied. Don't do just a time of a small lie. And maybe you're not ready to do the time of a big lie, although if you want to, that's fine. So you might just choose a middle kind of degree of lying. So think of a specific situation in which you did that. And then ask yourself, why did I choose to lie at that time? So there's no right or wrong answer. Just ask yourself that question and try and be honest about it. Don't beat yourself up, but don't make excuses either. Just deal with it in a truthful way to yourself. So why in that situation did I lie? And in asking yourself why you lied, see if there's another emotion underlying that. Maybe it was attachment to reputation, or fear of what somebody else might do, or anger, wanting to create problems for somebody else, or perhaps just confusion, thinking that it was the right thing to do because you weren't very clear on the situation. So look a little bit deeper there and see what was the motivation, the emotion lying behind the intention to lie. And then think about the thing that you lied about, and if there was something else that you were covering up for. And if so, how did you feel about that original lie? How did you feel about that original action that you did? So what was the motivation for the original action that then led to wanting to lie afterwards? And then think of how you would like to do it differently and how you could do it differently. So generate a mind of compassion, have a mind of wisdom, and if the same or a similar situation arose today, how do you think you could handle it? Is there a way where you could be truthful without being attached, without being fearful, without being mean? And think of maybe how you could say something or what kind of attitude you would want to cultivate inside yourself in order to be more truthful. And then if you have some regret for the lie or some regret for the original action that you did, that would lie behind the lie, And let yourself feel that regret. But make a determination not to do it again, and then forgive yourself. So the clearer you are about not wanting to do it again, the easier it will be to forgive yourself. Okay, so we have a few minutes for questions and maybe answers.
Well, we do have a few minutes, and we have a comment from Kristen. So she says, using lies has context.
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 And
this is very complex.
Yes.
On so many levels.
Yes.
A very recent experience showed her that someone did not tell her many things because there's a load of judgments connected to the truth. So when we understand the reasoning for the lie, the necessity to use this lie just melts away like ice in the sun. And it's not that easy to decide what is unethical when we don't know the circumstances of how people act a certain way.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me to give a good comment, I would have to, she's talking about a specific situation, and it's hard for me to make a comment, especially, about a specific situation where I don't know what's going on. So and she...
Maybe, Christy, maybe you could add some details for us?
Well, she... Yes, they may not want to.
True.
Yeah, because it's a public thing, so.
And while we're waiting to see if she wants to add details, Ben has a question.
Okay.
I wonder if you could talk about the difference between, if there is one, of lying versus holding things back not to hurt others.
Ah, I see, yes. Okay, so telling the truth doesn't mean you need to, reveal everything that could potentially create a lot of problems and a big mess, okay? So, but it depends a lot what the issue is. This is the difficulty with questions, because people are thinking about a specific issue, but my answer would vary according to what the issue is, because...
We have some more detail here.
Okay. Okay.
He says, for example, a friend asks you what you think of their particular choice in something. For example, an argument they have with another. So you agree in part with what they did, like they did well to put their case forward, so you share that with them.
Uh-huh.
But you don't share that you think they went too far in criticizing the other person.
Yeah. Okay.
You think the latter won't help the situation or might hurt them.
I think still there's a way to speak the truth in that situation. Say, when you said this, I think, you articulated this very well. That was good. But here, you went too far, and I feel that the words that you said might have been harmful to the other person. So, you know, that part I don't agree with. Or, you know, maybe there's another way you could say that kind of thing to get your point across, but so that the words may not be so harsh to the other person. In other words, when we tell the truth, you know, when Ben's telling the truth to his friend, and when the friend is telling the truth to whoever they're talking to, there's a way, you know, if we stop and think of how can we say what it is we really mean, but in a way that the other person can hear it and accept it. You know, so how can we frame it in a way that shows that we have some understanding and empathy for the other person? That making some sense? Understanding the question correctly? Yeah? Yeah, because I feel, especially with friends, you know, if we're going to be a good friend, then we have to be able to speak the truth to somebody else. And I know if I mess up, if somebody is my good friend, I expect them to tell me the truth. Even if it may not be something I like to hear, if somebody's really my friend, they're going to care about me and not let me go through life making mistakes. And so they'll say something, hopefully in a way, you know, maybe initially I'll get defensive, but if it's coming from a good friend, you know, I'm going to try and listen. And so I feel if I'm going to be a good friend to somebody else, I should do that, you know, when they need somebody to kind of call them on something.
And maybe we have time for one more question.
Sure.
Okay. So Sandy posted this, and she asks, do we always have to have compassion for and forgive a liar, or can we ever really remove ourselves altogether from others' toxicity?
Oh, you can do both. You can remove yourself and you can have compassion. So having compassion doesn't mean you stay in a bad situation. You can have compassion for the person who's lying, but also realize it's not a good relationship or it's not a good situation for you to stay in, and you can remove yourself from it. But without anger, without hatred, without blame or grudge or wanting revenge.
Thank you. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do one more check to see if we have any more
Sure.
questions. And so that was our last question, I think. It's 8:30, 5:30 where you are?
Yep, 5:30 where I am.
Okay. So I think at this point we'll say our session is concluded.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much for your teaching. Raised a lot of questions in my mind.
Good. That's good. That's my job, is, you know, if after you do a meditation you just feel like, oh, everything's wonderful, floating in the air, then I don't think that necessarily it's been so beneficial. But if it makes us think and question, then I think very worthwhile.
Very worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
ask
you.
everyone to